Yeah, so I can speak to the transportation sector because that's what I work on, and transportation fuels. And California is taking what's been called sort of a three-pronged approach to reducing emissions from the transportation sector. One is reducing the amount of travel that people need to do by things like smart growth and smart travel planning, enabling people to use transit easier, infill development, more lively urban centers, things like this is one regulation regarding that. There's another regulation regarding fuel economy and the CO2 emissions from vehicles, basically, and which would require more efficient vehicles and is in line with current federal CAFE regulations. And then the third piece is regarding the fuels that we use, and that's called the Low Carbon Fuel Standard, and this reduces the this greenhouse gas intensity of the transportation fuels that we use. And that's largely what I work on, is the Low Carbon Fuel Standard and building models to understand the impacts of different oil sources under regulations like the Low Carbon Fuel Standard. Fundamental concerns with producing oil from the Monterey Shale would be firstly associated with increasing the amount of oil that's being produced. This is in a world where we're constrained by the amount of CO2 we can emit. Increasing the amount of oil we produce would obviously increase emissions from increased gasoline and diesel consumption, as well as other fuel products. So that would be the primary concern. Other secondary concerns would be if developments in the Monterey Shale had similar characteristics to what's happening in, for example, North Dakota and the Bakken Shale, where there's a significant amount of flaring occurring. It's not clear that this would occur in California. It's unlikely to proceed in the same way that development is happening in North Dakota, but that could be a similar concern. The primary concern would be associated with additional oil development. Mm-hmm. A significant fraction of California oil is heavy oil, which is challenging to extract and requires thermal injection, steam injection technologies to loosen the oil, essentially reduce its resistance to flow so that it can be produced out of the ground. And this requires a fair amount of energy and results in higher greenhouse gas intensity.